Hi, this is Everett's Watercolors. Welcome to my studio. Now today I'm going to do another watercolor demonstration, and I'm very excited today because I want to do something special I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I'm going to paint a famous car, a collector's item. So let me take you to my painting table and let me get started. Well, there it is. That's a 1957 Chevy Bel Air. It's a beautiful car, and it's still running around. I've seen several of them out there on the highway, but they're rare. This is a collector. This is a classic, a 1957 Chevy Bel Air. Okay, I got this photograph here. I call this the front view. So you see the front end of the vehicle and the chrome and the styling and so forth. And then I also got one of the rear section, which shows the fins, the famous fins on the 57 Chevy. So I'm going to do one of these today, and then I'm going to get back and maybe do the second one. Let's see. Anyway, I'm going to start with this one today, the one with the front end, or the front of the vehicle. So what I did on my sketchbook, I've gone ahead and sketched out my drawing plan here for the front view, which I'm going to paint now. And then I've also got the rear view already prepared here to do the rear view. So we're going to do this one, and then maybe I have time, I'll come back and do this one. We'll see. Okay, let me put this aside. And I already started this one. What I did was I drew the outline of the vehicle on a quarter sheet of Gemini watercolor paper. It measures 12 inches wide and 15 inches high. And I'm going to just use a quarter sheet, half sheet of that, so it's eighth of a sheet of a full sheet of watercolor paper. 140-pound Gemini archival watercolor. Over here I got my Holbein paints. I'm only going to use the red, Pyrrole Red Holbein, and a little ultramarine blue. I may use that in the background along with some green to give me a green background. And then I've actually got two metallic paints down here. I've got gold paint watercolor, and I've got silver. They're going to be for the chrome on the vehicle, and also the gold. There's a couple symbols on the vehicle that's got a gold paint. So two metallics, the red, and I got a little bit of Payne's gray or black for the tires. So that's about all the colors I'm going to mix. Pens, brushes I'm going to use is a half-inch Holbein and the number 8 round. These are synthetic, but they're on my website, and they're really good. They're really good brushes. Okay, everettswatercolors.com. And I'll be using my spray bottle, my palette in a bottle dot sprayer, sold exclusively on Everett's Watercolors, and that's available on my website also, everettswatercolors.com. I got plain water on that. I'll be using that to wet the paints and also do a little texturing in the background. Okay, so let me get started. What I've done here, and the way I got started on this, is I've taken my watercolor pencils, and these are a good set of general pencil, and I got these on my website also. You go to my website, everettswatercolors.com, in my supply page, and I also have watercolor pencils in there. Okay, these come in very handy. So what I've done is I've gone ahead and I've put in a layer using the colored pencil, watercolor pencil, and I thought I'd start out with that, get me a little base coat here to get started. So I've gone in and I'm going to add the watercolor paint on top of that. Okay, so I got the red started here, and this happens to be vermilion red that I'm using on the watercolor pencil. Okay, so I'm going to pick up some paint here in the palette. Now this is a Pyrrole Red, very bright red, and I'm going to load the brush. And I've got like a medium value here. Not too much water, just enough to wet the paint, but because I want it nice and red. And I'm going to start here on the hood of the Chevy. I've been wanting to do this for a long time, is to paint this car. I have pictures of it. I've been studying this car for many years. It's one of my favorites. And there's a lot of pictures out there of the Chevy 57. So now I don't know. The watercolor pencil is adding a little bit. I was thinking I'd try that out to get a little starting of the coloring in there, and just add the watercolor paint on top of that, and just see how it worked out. You can see here it's a very bright red. I'm blocking in the color right now, getting the colors in there, and I'm gonna paint around this trim for right now. That silver trim that goes around on the body, and it goes all over the place. There's a lot of metal in these cars, 57s. They remade cars back in those days with lots of metal. Nowadays, a lot of modern cars have synthetic, they have plastic bumpers and stuff like that. It's amazing. These cars are tough. They're still around. They still run. And if you take care of a car, especially a car like this, it'll last a long, long time. So what I'll do, let me go ahead and keep going on this, and I'm also going to take the round brush here, and I'm going to go in and get some of the detail, close edges here. I want to keep nice, clean edges here around the bumper here. So I'm using a round brush to give me more detailing of the paint. But the watercolor pencil is helping a little bit because it got started getting some of the color on the paper. And I'll switch over to this in a larger area. I'll use the flat brush to get some of the paint around the front fender here, around this forward wheel, and then I'll pick up the round brush and get next to the edges. I'm trying to be very careful. I want this to be a very good painting of my favorite car. So when you start something like this, you want to get a good reference photograph like I have, and then you want to draw it a couple times. I've drawn it 3 or 4 times. I showed you my design drawing that I started with, and that way you get familiar with the pieces. You get familiar with the shape, you get familiar with the angles. So it's always a good idea to do a drawing, a sketch, before you start painting anything like this. To become familiar with the subject. It doesn't matter if it's a car or landscape or even a still life. Still want to do I try to paint the same way wherever I paint, whether it's a landscape or still life. Try to use the same ideas, always painting around. Okay, so okay, I'll just flat brush again. I'm trying to save the edges here now because that's where some of the trim will go. When I'll get around with another brush with the silver trim, chrome. So we're just kind of getting the base. Now let me get the top part here, and I'll use the round brush here because it's a small area. Blocking in. I'm really in the blocking phase, just getting the paint on the paper and getting it started. And I'll get into I'll get a little more detail when I get down into the chrome and the background and things like that. Nice shape of that top. Come on around to the other side of the roof. There we are, and we'll come on down here. Now I'll get the flat brush again, fill in some of this hood. It's a good idea to use a color pencil along with watercolor paints, and then because the watercolor pencil it's the same pigment as the paint, so it's very compatible. Watercolor pencils and watercolor itself, both water soluble. Makes it very convenient, very portable. Now I've got these two. There's a little silver decoration up here on the hood of this car, and I'm going to save that. It's got a silver ornament up here. This is one of the specialties of the '57 Chevy. Is the chrome trim. And the chrome around the headlights. Okay, so we're getting almost got the hood done here, and almost got the red paint in. I'll go along the front edge of this bumper here now. So a painting like this is it's really just it's a lot of detail work. But I'll tell you what, if you paint you paint something you love or love to watch, and you've been around it a long time, this is really a lot of fun. And I want to share this with you, the techniques here. I think the first thing to do is get a good drawing so you have a good reference. Now that's that gold. Here's a gold trim right there. It goes on the front of the hood. That was the old Chevy symbol. I think Cadillac picked that up later on, that symbol. Yeah, General Motors has this. The company used the symbol at this car. Many cars. I'm a great fan of cars. That I drive a Ford, and Ford's another one of mine. Thunderbirds, Corvettes. Oh, the Chevy Corvettes. It's another classic. So there's lots of classics out there that are fun to paint and fun to watch. And okay, so I'm gonna that's kind of the base coat for the red. Okay, so let me see. Now I got to work on the black wheels and so forth. So I'm gonna wash up my brush. Then I'm gonna block in the black for the wheels. So I've got this Payne's Gray over here. And I put some black. Now I've used the black watercolor pencil here too. I've used the black watercolor pencil. I'm going in and start putting in some of the color, starting. So I'm going to go ahead and finish it off with now. This is the Payne's Gray on a paintbrush, and I'm going to block in the shadow and the shadow under the bumper here or fender, and then I'll get the wheel. It's all. From the photograph and also from most vehicles, you can't see too much of the wheel because it's in shadow. And this comes right along here. This is along the edge of that chrome. There's chrome all along the edge of the door, right at the bottom. The chrome all across here. I don't think they can afford to make cars like this anymore because there's so much chrome on this one, and you can imagine if you had an accident and damage, it would cost you a lot to replace all the chrome that's on these vehicles. That's why they take care of them. And there's a little shadow here in the back of this fender here. I'll put that in also, the shadow there. And I'll come along the bottom here. Now, there's a shadow. I'll put a little bit of shadow at on the bottom of this when I'm finished with the wheels and so forth. Or it'll be final touches. Here I'm going to get this kind of a blocking in of the shape. There's just a very thin sliver of paint of wheel that you see here, right by the bumper. So I just round brushes for the detail work. It takes a little bit of time to get this in there, but I just follow my drawing. I'll bring the wheel down. This tire, front tire here, get that there. Give a little bit of depth on that, not too much. Okay, we got that done. Then we'll go across the front here underneath, a little bit of shadow, so we'll just put underneath the bumper. There's a wheel. There's a wheel here that you can see the silhouette of it, silhouette of the wheel here underneath. So we'll put that in. It's a silhouette, then there'll be a shadow under here. Okay. All right. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to let that I'm going to put the chrome in a little bit later. I'm going to go ahead and put in some background right behind. I'll go start on the background. That way I'll let this part cover. I'll get up real nice close to that. You can see that's a block in of the shape of the red, and I got the wheels in. Now I'm going to pick up a little bit of hooker's green. Look at the photograph. You know, the photograph's got some trees in the background, so I'm going to use that as a backdrop. I'm going to use the trees as a background. So, but I'm not going to be very detailed on this. It's just going to be it's going to be an abstract background. Not a lot of detail. And I'm going to move this around here so I get around the edge. Now this is I'm using a 3/4 inch flat brush for a nice sharp edge. I can get around the edges here very quickly. I'm going to try to go. I'm going to turn the paper a little bit. I was going to try to get this edge here of the windshield, and I'll get the edge of the hood. There's a little ornament there on the front. I'm going to leave a little tip of that showing over. Okay, now I'll come around the top here, load up the brush again. Paint around the edge, right next to the red. You can see I'm going to keep this background very abstract. It's a simulation. And go around the edge, and that's the edge of the bumper here, the back fender. Go up along the edge of the vehicle, right there. And going down to the horizon, there's a little horizon line there, we'll put that right in there. Okay. Pick up some more of that green, a little bit of ultramarine blue, and I'll go in here, put in some more pigment here, again to break up that background a little bit more. Okay, so that's the background. Okay, that's dry. Let that dry by itself. I'm not going to worry about that. And when I lose the shine, I'm also going to put some a little bit of touch of the dot spray on that, just to give it some sparkle. Look for my towel here. Wipe off the edge. Wipe off the edge of the painting. Keep the water from going into the edge of the paper there. There we go. Okay. All right. I think what I'll do also, I'm going to go ahead and put in the what I call the not the background, but the very light gray of the pavement underneath the car. So we'll start out with this color here. Yeah. We'll use Payne's Gray. Payne's Gray with just a little bit of water in it, just to make it light enough. Go ahead and paint around. This is going to be the pavement that the car is sitting on. Around the front of the bumper. Next to the wheel. Okay. All right. Okay, that's so I got the foreground in and the background in. Okay. And wipe off the edge a little bit. Not gonna hurt anything. All right, now the shine's starting to go way up here. So what I'm going to do is take my dot spray bottle, palette in a bottle, and I'm just going to put a couple drops back here. Just light tapping motion. All right, now it's going to give me some texture there in the background. So break up that green a little bit, give us a little sparkle of trees and so forth. So let's just let that dry by itself. Okay, let me get the blow dryer. Got my Ranger here. I'm going to dry around the edge here so I can put in the chrome. Okay, so I've blocked in the red right now, and it'll be a little touch up on that when I finish the chrome. It'll be a little touch up, and then we'll be finished with the vehicle. That little splattering of water from the spray bottle gives me a little texture up there in the background. Again, it's just abstract, not too much detail there. There goes some of this excess water. There we go. I'll check it. Okay, it's dry. It touch with the back of the hand. If it feels warm, then it's dry. I'll stop that. Okay, all right. Now I'm going to put in got a couple more areas. One is the chrome. That's something I'm interested in getting into. Okay, so I've got another brush here. This is a number 12 Escoda. No, number 8 Escoda brush. I'll use for detail. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to get the. I think I'll start with a gold paint. Get that in first. Yeah, get the gold. So I got gold over here in my palette. This is actually gold paint. Watercolor, gold watercolor. It's amazing, beautiful color. So make a nice thick mix of that. I don't want this too diluted because I just want to have enough water in it so I can make it move. And what I'm going to do is this emblem here, this V, the wings, will go on the front of this right up here. So this is gold. That's the symbol of the Chevy right there. Okay, that's gold. Okay, and then the rest of it around the other parts is going to be silver. So now I'll wash out the brush, make sure it's clean. And I'm going to mix up silver paint here in my palette. I don't use silver that often, but sometimes I use it for, it makes a nice tin roof on some buildings. It does make a nice metallic look. And of course, for the chrome on this car, I could leave it white, but I think I like to put a little bit of silver in here to give it a little special touch. So now my brush now is loaded with silver, and I'm going to start now with the front bumper. That's the largest area. So I'm going to go up in here and put that color right across here. This is silver, right across the bumper. And load the brush again, and there's a lot of chrome on this car. I'll put just enough water in the pigment so to get moist, because I want to make sure it's not too diluted. It's just it's a lot of pigment with a little bit of water to move it. There's a centerpiece there. Goes to center. Pick up some more of that. This brush is loaded with the silver paint. bottom of the bumper. Around this one side over here. Okay, and then there'll be some grill work in there, but that's going to be like a darker color. So right now, just the silver will cover this area right here. All right. Now, if you haven't seen it, if you look at that up close, the silver will shine when you turn it, when you get the right angle. Okay, so it does have a beautiful color. Now I'll get around these headlights. They have a chrome, silver. I'm using, this is chrome, but I'm using silver as my paint. Okay. These little hood ornaments here, they're silver. Little hood decoration. They look like little wings. And this chrome over here on this side, on this headlight. Okay. Well, there's also chrome on the wheels. Very fancy wheels here, very fancy. Classic car. Chrome in there, get the chrome over here. And the back wheel, get that in. So you can see here, the trim on this car is really amazing. There's so much chrome on here and so much metal. Now the back bumper here is a back bumper with all chrome. And even the fins, this is my favorite part, the fins. I got the fins there, they were lined in silver or in chrome all the way along the edge, all the way up to the window, all the way back there. And this section here had chrome, this section. I'm going to leave that back section that's white. I'll leave it white because it was a light color. And this great big, this beautiful strip along the edge. Of chrome all along here. This beautiful strip. It goes all the way from tail, the fin tail, all the way up to the headlights. There's a strip on both sides. Okay. A little bit more trim. Got a little more to go. Around the windows also, the windows were trimmed around the windows. That was all chrome. Along the top edge. Down the side. Even the windshield had chrome around it. It was all chrome up around the edge, chromed edge on the top, around the top of the windshield. And across the top of the hood and the window, bottom base of the window. Okay. All right. So it's kind of a blocking in right there at that point. Okay. I got a little more cleanup to do when I let that dry. I gotta let that dry. I just put that on there. So let me blow dry that section there. Get that weight now. Okay, so that's the trim on the Chevy. Around all the windows, around all the fins, across the body, around the headlights, and the big chrome along the bumpers. Those bumpers were huge. Solid chrome. Okay. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do for the windows, you know, it's just like they're in shadow. So I'll take a little bit of ultramarine blue and a little bit of gray, and a little gray mix, and I'm just going to put that. I'm just going to put that in here for the glass, because the windows will be reflecting anything in the sky, blue sky, or even a gray sky if it was gray outside. So they'll be reflecting the sky. And actually, I still have a little bit of red in my brush, so that's going to be reflecting the color from the car, which is not a bad idea. You'll have reflective colors. You're going to have reflections from the sky. You're going to have reflections from the red paint on the car. Or a combination thereof. These back windows, the same thing. Put them in shadow. Got reflections off of the sky and the background. I'll use a small brush here now. For detail, I'm using a small brush. Okay. All right. So now I got that pretty well blocked. Now I'm going to go in. I'm going to do clean up around. A little bit of the red needs to be cleaned up a little bit. There's little rough edges here. So I'm going to take the small brush. Let's see. Take the round brush. The synthetic brush, fine. Now I'm going to go in now. I'm going to go ahead and clean up some of the edges. So I'm going to start here on the body. Right here. Make sure I get a nice clean edge. These were marks from, there's one door, a single door here, so these were the side edges of the door. Now I'll make sure these are nice and smooth. I'll take my time, make that a nice curve right down to the headlight. There we go. And this part up here, make it nice and sharp. There's a door handle showing there. That's good. The top edge of this chrome cleaned up. This part here will be all red, right down to the edge of the chrome strip. And make a nice smooth line here. So you take a round brush like this and just very carefully put that detail in along the edge, cleaning up the edge, take the rough spots away. This edge up here, just a little clean up here on this edge. Just a red all the way out to the green. Okay, good. Like that. And around this headlight. Right to there. Get this edge over here. Okay. All right. Now the grill work. If you look inside the grill, I mean it's all chrome, but it's in shadow. So I'm going to put a little light, darken it up just a little bit there, and I think we'll have it finished. I can put a little bit of color on the headlights, just a little bit. So I'll just have a little bit of gray up here, and I'll put this little bit of shadow here in the grill. No detail, just shadow. No detail. This part appears in shadow. Part of the grill inside the chrome metal. This is very complex bumper on this car. Just beautiful. This is how they made the cars back in 57s, 50s and 60s. A lot of detail. Cars were all, especially a lot of General Motors cars, they had lots of chrome, big bumpers. That was the classic style back in those days. Okay, a little bit of shadow there helps that out a little bit. That could be a little bit darker, but I think I'll leave that alone. And as long as I'm here, I'm going to make it a little bit darker, because that's in shadow. So add just a little more pigment in there. A little more pigment. Make the chrome show up a little bit better. Put the dark against the light. So that dark area now makes the light area pop out. Okay, that's much better. All right. Here we go. And now there's two little, these are dark blue, and these are just part of the design, but I better use this other, use my a Skoda with a sharp point. There's this little section here, it's not too dark. Part of this bumper had his section on the bumper. Just decoration is all it was, decoration. Dark blue. Okay, I'm just going to put a tint of blue on the headlamps, because they're made of glass. Just a tint, not too much water, not too much paint, just a tint. Tint on the headlights. Okay, all right. I think I'm going to add just a little shadow underneath the car, just a little shadow. So I'll pick up a little bit of this palette color here, blue, and mix in a little bit of gray, and come down here and just kind of put a little shadow pattern under here. This will come all the way out here past the wheel. Go behind, just behind the wheel, just a little bit for the back side. There. Okay, let me take a look. Okay. All right. I'm going to put a frame around that. Okay. So I'm going to put a frame around it, and we'll call that one done. And it's not going to fit exactly, but good enough. All right. Put a little frame around that. It's going to fit there. So that section there will be the front part. And if I had a bigger frame, I'd bring it back here and show the back part, okay? But just kind of put a frame around just to get a little bit of definition. But look at that beautiful red. Isn't that really popping out? Okay. Okay, there's my painting of the 1957 Chevy Bel Air front view. Okay, let me take you back to the main camera. Okay, that was a lot of fun. One of my favorite cars, the Chevy Bel Air, 1957, classic. So I couldn't resist painting that. But here I want to show you the techniques, not only a little bit of detail, but I introduced the two metallic colors. I introduced the gold and silver to put in the trim and the symbol on the car and the trim of the chrome. Okay, I thought that would be interesting to show you today, that there is metallic paint in the watercolors, and sometimes it does come in handy. I use metallic paint on rooftops. If it's a metal roof, I'll use a little bit of silver up there, and a old gold on some of the, let's say a still life, if you got some gold finish on a glass or something. So it does come in handy for decoration purposes. So that was my painting for today, and if you like that, give me a thumbs up and a like. I really appreciate that. And subscribe to my channel and be notified of my next video. So I'll be back again next Thursday with another demonstration watercolor. You can bet that. And also later on today, I'm going to be putting out anyone can draw. No, sorry, not today, but simply drawing with Everett. I'll do a drawing exercise, and I think you'll find that interesting also. That'll be later on today. And on the weekends, on Sunday, I put out a special little short video called Anyone Can Draw with One Line Only. I think you might enjoy that one. So if you're subscribed to this channel, you'll be notified of all those videos, and you can enjoy them yourself. So I got over 900 videos. It's amazing. 900 videos on YouTube. And you're welcome to look at any one of them, and give me a comments and questions. I'll be glad to get back to you as soon as I can. So until next week, you all stay safe, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.